I be? Like what can I be? Connecting so infinitely, there's no limit to what I can be. I feel me so deep, I chill in my beat and don't speak of peace. Life under the sea is so deep, it'll put you straight to sleep, and that's not for me. So I'll be chilling on the moon, just reflecting on my past life. Miss call me and beat that womb to see if we can dance like hey, Cynchranici-Tea, balance in my seat. Spirits call me to teachers, my kisses will be back soon. I'm busy chilling on the moon, just reflecting on my past life. Queens call me in to beat the womb to see if we can dance right. Hey, Cynchranici-Tea, balance in my seas. Spirits call me to teachers, my kisses will be back soon. I'm busy chilling on the moon, chilling on the moon, chilling on the moon. I'm busy chilling on the moon. I just reflect on what I do. We are back. Jonathan's about to go hard on the FDA. Please, Jonathan, talk to the people about why the FDA lets so many heavy metals that are only proven to cause cancer in everything that we eat, amongst also all the microplastics that people love to talk about right now as well. And
yeah, so
everything.
The FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, you know, originally in the last podcast, I talked about, I began by saying that food, it gives all food-like items, it gives us this dopamine, and the dopamine is dope, and it's a drug. Why do we have something called the Food and Drug Administration that is governing our food? Shouldn't it be called the Food Administration if it is going to be an agency to make sure that our food items are kept safe, right? Why is it called the Food and Drug? That lets you know in the very name that food is a drug. They put them in the exact same category. And, you know, I dated women from all over this world, and many of them have told me in Europe and other countries that, hey, in my country, this isn't allowed. In my country, you know, this type of food coloring isn't allowed. This type of additive isn't allowed. B and H, if I'm saying it right. This, you know, this type of conditioner isn't allowed. If people knew what was in their food, they would no longer eat. Or actually, they would eat because it's a drug and they can't help it. But they would be. But if they really
knew, like, not if they like saw, but you're talking about like if people really knew, felt it in their core.
I mean, I've done an interview of this one gentleman who worked undercover. Well, he didn't work undercover, but he worked in a slaughterhouse where they slaughtered chickens here in California, and we had to put the interview. We had to disguise it so you couldn't see his face and you couldn't really see my face, and we did it like that to protect his character. But what happens in these places is beyond your imagination,
right?
And this is why people are suffering. This is why we have diseases. This is why we have a lot of pain, because people are not being mindful about what's going in their body and where it's coming from.
Right.
So there was a story on CNN, and the story said, you guys could validate this for me, go and check it out. It said that the average American is consuming 5 grams of plastic a week. How much is 5 grams of plastic? 5 grams of plastic is the same as your debit card or your credit card. 5 grams of plastic. So think about that there are 52 weeks in a year. Think about that, a deck of cards. So imagine if this was a deck of cards, that there would be 52 cards in a deck of cards. Imagine taking a bite out of a deck of cards of all of these. Let me, drink my tea. And eat my nice plastic crackers. Every week we're consuming one of these. Okay, right. So let's go into pigs. And I'm sure you guys might have seen the video on TikTok. But this one gentleman he wasn't undercover, but he was reporting what really happens with the food that they are feeding pigs.
Yeah, full of plastic, right?
Yeah, they just take the plastic bags and everything that has the molded bread in it.
And they say that it's too expensive to clean the plastic out. That's the excuse, I'm pretty sure.
Exactly, because they talk about speed and how that equals production and how that equals profit.
Right.
And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I was told by a homeless guy, an OG, a long time ago, never trust nothing with the P. So he talked about police. He talked about presidents. He talked about the Pope. He talked about the did I say police? Yeah. He talked about
Pedophiles.
Pedophiles. Politicians. It's many different P's, right? That he talked about never to trust. But I just thought about that because I spoke about, plastic, and then I was thinking of pigs, and so that just kind of came.
Does that
to
go
mind.
for Peter Parker?
Peter Parker? Right?
Yeah, don't
man.
trust Peter Parker. I know there might be some there.
Maybe Miles David. Maybe he was the other one. Miles David, I think it was.
Oh, Miles Morales.
Miles Morales. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe that's something. Don't trust Peter Parker, but trust Miles Morales as well.
Oh man.
It goes deep with the P, for sure. Plastic. What is that? Petrol. So when we think about like how like oil is like nefariously like slipped into foods, and like how oil coats on your cells, and like all these foods being so unhealthily based in petrol oil, literally stops your cells from even being able to absorb nutrients if you were to eat healthily. Because like it's not just about like consuming unhealthy stuff. It's like there's so many chemicals. That's what Jonathan's going to be getting into here. There's like so many angles of chemicals and how they nefariously block your cells from being able to allow you to live the best life that you deserve.
Well, so let's go back to what you were saying, how oil coats around the cells, right? And it can't absorb, because we were talking earlier about education.
Because humans have shifted from water-based diet to an overall much more oil-based diet. So that's definitely a big chunk of the health problems that you're talking about, where it's coming from.
This is major, and this is true. This is so major. It's something called the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is actually the cells in your body, the trillions of cells that I mentioned before. When they defecate, they reproduce, they eat just the way that we do. It's a whole community of them, right? This is a different universe that's making up this universe, right? So when they defecate, and the system is called the lymphatic system. It's like the sewage system for the cells in our body, so that waste can be relieved. If they have this coating of oil around them, they are pretty much having diarrhea. They're pretty much dying in their own stew. And this is where we see a lot of it goes so deep on so many levels. So those of you who follow me, or this is not even my channel, I'm so used to talking like that, but you would know that I own a commercial cleaning company. And in my commercial cleaning company, we specialize in restaurants and commercial kitchens, because this is an area of opportunity that is needed in the marketplace. And me having such an extensive amount of experience, I know how to deliver effectively to make my clients happy. So there's something called an exhaust hood, where when you're cooking, all of that fire and heat has to get out of the kitchen, so that the kitchen isn't smoking going over to the dining room. So it gets through the exhaust hood. And I clean these for people. And what you will realize is that there's filters on there. On these filters, they accumulate something called lard vapor, which is essentially oil. And the vapor, the lard, the grease which it accumulates is so hard to get off.
So it's like lard that became gaseous and like coated everything.
I don't even know the science behind it, but
like,
I do know
that it just gets so hot it became a vapor of like
and it
lipids.
Just goes up there. And but also because it's suction from the ventilation system, and it's helping it to suck it up. Right. So the grease gets so caked on, but not even through the filters, even on different equipment pieces. There's a lot of grease, and I have to use harsh, degreasers or really, really, really hot water in order to remove this grease, or otherwise it won't come off. Now, the hot water that I use is 235 degrees. The water boils at 212 degrees, right? And sometimes it still even doesn't come off. If you look at the anatomical structure of a human being, our internal temperature is on average 98.6. So imagine all of these oils going inside of you, and you have all of these nooks and crannies, and all of this complicated organ systems and highways. And I talked about the nadi points and the acupuncture points. Is that you're not even hot enough for all of this grease to melt out of you. And this is why people begin to experience sicknesses. And when they live in a system of a realm, and they are feeding from this agriculture system, and by the time they get to the age of 40, they start to realize that their body is breaking apart, and then by 50, they're getting similar symptoms, and then you're like Kevin Samuels, who is the age of 56. He accumulated money, and we're gonna hit the monetary system later, but he accumulated money, $4.4 million, but yet he passed away at 56. Or some other people who passed away at a really, really premature age, because we don't understand how food is directly affecting our anatomy, our life force, our everything, everything. So it becomes a drug. There are corporations out there, and I'm not going to name corporations because I did sign papers when I chose employment at these places, and not to talk about certain things. But I will say that I had over 30 jobs in the restaurant industry throughout my career, being a chef and being involved. And most of them are places.
I'm going to throw out a company name, Nestle. All right, go ahead. That's all.
Okay, cool. So
just like Nestle and like the family of Nestle, everything related with Oscar Mayer. Okay, that's all right. Good.
Beautiful. Well, yeah. I mean, I can name these companies, right? I'm talking about like franchises and corporations, such as that I was actually employed in. But things like Nestle, things like Hershey's, things like Heinz ketchup, things like General Mills, things like Kellogg's, all of these things. This is a trillion dollar industry, and these things they aren't putting out food. What they're putting out is food like items, and these items are what Roberta Flack talked about in that song, and also Lauryn Hill sung it, "Killing Me Softly." Killing me softly. Right? It's killing us softly. It's killing us softly. We eat our ice creams, but we're not knowing that we're actually eating our own life away because of our ignorance and our addictions.
Right. Literally.
Yeah. How do they get you trapped? How do they get you to keep on eating this food? How did it become a drug?
Yeah, like how deep does the science go?
Yeah, so it's something called food science. You can go to college. You can type on the internet right now and type in the name food science, and food science will pop up. So people who make frozen dinners, and when you pop those frozen dinners in the oven and keep the plastic on top of them for 350 degrees for like 45 minutes.
Oh yeah.
This has been engineered by a food science. They've done trial and errors to find out how can we make food that tastes good, that is going to be how would you say, that's going to be something that you can duplicate over and over again. You can have that consistency, and it would have the craveability to it. A craveability means that once you eat it, you want to take another bite, and you begin to bypass all sensory perceptions and continue to eat. I sound like Mike Tyson, right?
Have you ever just eaten one chip?
Exactly. I bet you can't have just one, right? Why do they say that? So you have So I talked about we live in a physical reality, and I love that. I got that from you, and it's mine,
beautiful.
Right? So so we have the 5 fingers, right? We have the 5 fingers on each hand. We have the 5 senses, the smelling, the whatever. We have the 5 elements, and also on our finger. I don't know if I said this, but this is prana. Next to prana is air. The middle finger is fire. The next to fire is water, and then the pinky finger is earth. So this is 5 elements that we live in, but we also have.
So that's why then everyone, when you stick your pinky out, that's earth, because it signals status. So anytime you're drinking something with your pinky out, it signals that you are enjoying all the earth or material or all the matter that you get to stand on. And then of course your ring finger is water. You get married, right? You get bound in marriage to create life with someone based on that ring. What are the other fingers?
The middle finger is fire.
The middle finger is fire. So that's perfect, because of course you're just projecting out who you are. It's technically, generally for most people, the longest finger. For me, it's the longest finger. So that's fire.
And what does fire want to do? Fire always wants to reach up.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the tallest.
Literally. Right. So this means a lot. and like fire being the longest or going the distance. Even like air allows fire to go the distance, but fire is the actual desire to fuck. Like fuck you. Life is getting fucked by you. You're having sex with life all the time. And then what, the index finger is then air,
So where we at? No.
because the thumb is prana.
Yeah, no. So prana is the fat finger, right? The one next to prana, which is the closest thing to prana, is air.
Okay, absolutely.
And
So
then the
this
middle
is-
finger is fire, and then water.
Yeah. So this is all about the mind and just being aware of air. So fire is the passion of like, fuck you. But then air is about being aware. Like, what are you choosing to fuck? So that does come first, aware. And then you get your fire inside of air. You can't have fire inside of space. You do have to create an atmosphere that can sustain fire, which is the point of why everything's mental. But we create the mind so we can experience our ego. And then our ego is all of our individual fires or ideas of God. So then, yeah, what? Thumb, prana. Beautiful.
Prana, yeah. And prana
The
is
most
the
functional
center,
finger.
the most functional, and prana is the center of all of them, right? Or you
Exactly.
can call it chi or whatever. It's that all of the elements need that in order to come out, which is why in the Hindu religion, Hanuman, which is they say is God's favor or God liked him the most, and he's called the Monkey King, is that he's closest to God because he's the air. He's representative to air, and air is the closest thing. Like when you're breathing doing pranayama, it's the closest thing to prana. But the reason why I brought up the physical reality, because I was going to talk about our senses. We just took a little side note, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have we have 5 different tastes on our tongue, and I forget the positions of them. But you have sweet, you have bitter, you have sour, you have salty. And what is the other one? Hot? It's not hot. It's something else. But in Ayurvedic, under Ayurvedic knowledge, you have 6. But in the Western knowledge, you have 5. So it's salty,
savory and umami are the same one. I'm pretty sure. Umami is like an extra one, or what?
It might be savory. I know you have. I know you have bitter. I know you have sour. I know you have sweet. I know you have salty. And I don't know if it's savory. You know, man, I don't want to look on this, but I'm going to have to do it really quickly.
Yeah.
Just for conversational sake.
That's kind of important.
Yeah, bear with me 1 second. 1 second. 'Cause I want to get this done pack. Taste, TST, buds, on tongue. Okay, cool. Let's look up some images. Okay, here we go. So bitter, sour, salty, sweet. Oh, it's 4. Is it 4? Was I wrong? Bitter. Oh, yes. Okay, I was right. So bitter is in the back, sweet's at the top, salty's to the side, and then sour is on the other side. But then all of them combined makes up hot, and that's when you get like the hotness of it.
Okay.
I believe. Yes, I believe this is according to my knowledge.
Okay. And then
Yeah,
that's the Western 5. But then in the Eastern 6, that's where they also have umami.
Yeah,
I guess.
Ayurvedic. I forget exactly
Ayurvedic, yeah.
how that goes. My girl knows about it. Yeah.
Mhm,
So
I think.
yeah. So anyway, going back to food scientists, right? Because we were talking about food scientists,
Right,
and
because
how-
they're manipulating the map of your tongue. That's how we just
Right.
got on those details.
Exactly. So what are the 2 biggest crystals? Like I'm holding this quartz crystals in my hand. I've been holding it for a while. Right. We talked about the fascia and the pineal gland, other ones. Crystals are used everywhere, even for this computer, right? So what are the biggest crystals that people incorporate in their body? The 2 are sugar, and the other one is salt. Those are 2 big crystals, and you can make crystals up just like they have something called what is the drug? Crystal meth or something? Crystal something? I don't know, but
I'm aware of crystal meth. So if that's the drug,
it's crystal meth, right? Right.
and that's a real thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So they make it up, right? So
Yes, they do.
yeah. So the way that they make salt and the way that they make sugar, first and foremost, they create sugar exactly the same way that they create cocaine, almost identically. And I have a sugar cane in my, I should have got it. It's in my kitchen, and I watched a video about how they make it, and they manufacture it the exact same way. They juice it, and then they put it through a process. They add something else to it, put it through a process, add something else, and then they let it dry out, and you get sugar in that white color. It's literally a chemistry project. And when you think about cocaine, they take the cocoa leaf, and then they do the exact same process, and the byproduct or the final product you get is cocaine. So they're very, very similar in nature, but it's a crystal. So anyway, sugar from the original sugar cane plant, if you drink that juice, that's good stuff for you. That's live. That has enzymes. This has life force in it. But because of language, a lot of people think that that's the exact same sugar because it's spelled the same, sugar and sugar. But it's two completely different things. So why am I saying this? I'm saying this because when it comes to food scientists, okay, they have discovered how to put just enough sugar in a product so that your taste buds on your tongue do not become alarmed and they don't say, oh my God, this is too sweet. Like, have you ever had coffee or tea or something that somebody made, maybe some lemonade or Kool-Aid? You'd be like, oh my God. Or like in the South, I lived in the South, and they have sweet tea in the South. And boy, do they put lots of sugar in that sweet tea. I'm talking about it's diabetes in a cup, right?
Absolutely.
And this is what food scientists have effectively done with a lot of food. They have found out how to put just enough sugar so that your taste buds do not get alarmed and send a signal to the brain that this is too sweet. And they have done the exact same thing that when it comes to sodium. So when you eat these laid potato chips that I bet you just can't have not one, they have put they're salty. They have put so much salt into it, but it doesn't trigger your taste buds where you will go, oh, this is too salty. Have you ever tried something that's too salty, something that your wife made or your girlfriend or your whoever, and you're like, this is good, but you want to be like, nah, this is nasty, way too much salt, right? Because it gets to that point where you need salt. I need some salt, but then it gets to a point where, oh, this is too much. You have to find that balancing point. So they have pushed it up to the point, and not only up to the point, what they also do sometimes as well too, is they will add extra ingredients just so they can even add more sodium that will disguise the amount of sodium that's in it so that your taste buds would not pick it up, so that it would not register.
How does that work?
They have done the same method. They have done the same method with sugar. So how would this work? Let me see if I can give you a good description. Let's use something, for instance, like soy sauce. We know that soy sauce is incredibly salty. It has a huge amount of sodium inside of it. So there's a lot of restaurants out there that would make something called soy ginger. I'm not going to give any types of names of what restaurants these are, right? So they would add some cilantro to the soy sauce. They would add a bunch of sugar to the soy sauce. They would add a bunch of, chopped chives or whatever. And then they would add, maybe, some red chili flakes and some sriracha and mix it up. And you're starting to get soy ginger, which would be nice to dip something into. They would say, to make this even more of a craveability food, meaning that you want more. You just can't have just one. They would say, let's add this much water into it, and then we can add this much more salt into it. Or when it comes to sugar, right? Because we have these different taste buds. Literally, a lot of Asian foods, right? There's one place they make something called lemon chicken, and they would take chicken tenders. They would dip it in some rice flour batter, and they would fry it, and you would fry it a certain way, so now you get a ball of chicken that is like tempura style. And they would take it and toss it in a bowl with this orange sauce, and they would put orange zest on the top of it, and you would eat it with rice and some vegetables that's like sauteed in some sesame seed oil and maybe some soy ginger or something else.
Yum.
And yeah, people will go, oh my God, it's delicious, right? And it's a very popular dish. Well, when it comes to making the orange sauce, and you would take some concentrated orange juice, you would take literally, ladies and gentlemen, 12 cups of sugar. Keep in mind, 1 cup is 8 ounces. 12 cups of sugar, and then you will put some. What is the other ingredient? You will put some rice wine vinegar. And what the rice wine vinegar does is it dumbs down the sugar so that your body thinks that you're tasting something sour, and you go, "Oh, that's sourness, right?" And because the
That's
orange juice,
wild.
and
So
because
it's
the orange
basically
juice,
molasses.
yeah, so because the orange juice is sour too, right? It
Mhm.
wouldn't register, and you would think like, "Oh, has a sour taste. This is good. Let me get more." But not knowing that below that, you're eating a whole entire cup of sugar, and then you wonder why you have food coma because you just been drugged out on a drug that is manufactured the
Wow.
exact same way that cocaine is manufactured.
Mhm.
And this it creates a craveability, and now all of a sudden you're feeding these organisms in your body, and one day you're wondering, hey, I just got a craving for some freaking orange chicken. That's because these organisms in your body are saying, excuse me, yeah, I need some more of that. And now you're being programmed by the little things inside of you saying,
Mm.
hey, I need more, I need more, I need more. And this is why it's important to fast. And this is why people should
Mhm.
support you and become a student of your school, because when you fast, you neutralize everything and you
Everything.
start from ground zero. They've done experiments with rats that the less they feed a rat, their lifespan is extended tremendously.
Literally.
And yeah,
Right.
and this is why Elamine, the breatharian, and many other people, even Sadhguru, which I don't resonate with everything that Sadhguru is doing, but you have to say a truth is a truth, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Everyone's
so
got their infinite perspective.
exactly. So,
Right.
yeah, he talks about the power of fasting and how that extends life force in your lifespan, because you have to get to a space of being neutral. But for conversational sakes and for the realm, right? Religion, education, we're on agriculture. The agriculture system has been hijacked and has been put under the label of food, just like sugar has been put under the label of sugar. But sugar is not sugar. It's a chemical. It's a drug. And food is not food. It's food-like items, which is
Right.
also a drug. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is coming from somebody who has a tremendous amount of experience. When we look at college degrees, if you want to get a job, they say you need a bachelor's degree or you need 5 years of experience, because experience is key, right? Information is one thing, knowledge is another thing, knowing it, but wisdom is when you experience something. And I've experienced this throughout all of my life, and I know exactly what these foods are composed of, and I know on an intimate level what it does to your anatomical structure, aka your tempo.
Man.
Yep.
So before we move on to L, which is just gonna be a whole different atmosphere, law, like getting into police and enforcement, like the history of food is basically to make humans as addicted as possible, it seems, or at the very least, when we're talking about the United States, everything is manufactured to make you want to eat it as much as possible, but the manufacturing process makes it as nutritionally empty as possible.
Let me say something. Food is used as a program mechanism, and I could use food as a weapon to literally make people do what I want them to do.
Yep.
I promise you, ladies and gentlemen. But
Right.
I'm not that type of spirit. So what am I talking about? Remember The Matrix #2? I don't know who's seen that movie. And there's this attractive lady, and the one French guy,
The Merovingian.
yeah,
sent
he gives her a
cake.
slice of cake. She eats that cake and she has an orgasm.
Right.
Because food could literally control you like that, just like alcohol can control you like that. So there's been times when I would work at a corporation and I was the manager of Fortune 500 company, right? Whatever. And I ran a great shift. I'm very vocal. People love me. Bubbly personality. Jonathan, yeah, you over there, you this, you that, talking to customers, and I'm just in my element.
Absolutely.
And then at the end of the night, after a 12-hour shift or 10-hour shift, I'm doing paperwork. I'm putting in the products that we lost in waste so that we can track our numbers, and I'm doing a bunch of other managerial stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I did good today. I'm gonna treat myself. Let me get a slice of cheesecake. And I would dive into it, and I would get a cheesecake. I get whatever I want, right? You would think that I would be fat, right? Because I had access to so many types of foods, but obviously I know something. So I would eat the cheesecake, And literally, like a minute after I ate the cheesecake, after being so dynamic and so much on beta frequency, that my brain became paralyzed. That the sugar in the cheesecake literally paralyzed my brain, where I could no longer spell easy words like there, where I could no longer think properly and move fast the way that I was moving, and I would just be stuck like because it has literally, and I'm a sensitive person, right? Like based on like spirituality, not sensitive like, oh, I'm sensitive, like I'm in tune. And yeah, this is what it does to you. So it affects people. So if you want to control a group of people, you give them a certain type of food, and then you tell them a certain type of message, and those people become programmed. What's happening in the churches, especially a lot of black churches? Fried chicken, the so-called soul food, which is really that food, right? They're eating all of that food, and then they're going out there, praise the Lord, I got the Holy Spirit, Jesus, whatever, and they're big. They got cataracts. They got they got all kinds of stuff. They got all types of stuff happening to them, and you know, they're not respecting their own bodies, right?
Right.
So food is not food. Don't be a fool. Really realize what food is. And it's interesting how they almost rhyme together, right? Food and food, right? So don't eat your life away. There are two type of people. There's one person that eats to live. There's really three people. There's one person that eats to live, and then there's another person that lives to eat. Human beings have become scavengers to the highest degree and pleasure seekers to the highest degree, right? And you need to, and I will suggest that if you do not want to go to a grave early, premature, before accomplishing what you came here to accomplish on this planet, I will highly recommend that you look at what is being put inside of your system. Tesla says something, and I put this video out on my TikTok. 7 Circles, follow me on TikTok. He put this video out. He said, I really believe that the chefs are in a conspiracy to kill me. He talked about what the food industry was all about, right? Because food is dangerous. It's dangerous. And again, you know, I know it's hard for people to eat vegetables, to eat a piece of celery. We live in an environment where you got Chef Ramsay and everything is so popularized and food is all around you. But if you were to detox and fast and literally go back into it, these things that you thought tasted so good, just like the first time I ate candy, you would know that it's not really food, that it's chemicals that's made up in a laboratory, and that's why salt is called Cl2Na, because that's a chemistry formula. Cl2 is chloride and Na is sodium. It's sodium chloride.
Damn.
Yeah. I can keep going if you want.
Damn. I mean, yeah. Like, so there's just different. This language is so nefarious. Like you're just explained how there's different kinds of salt, just like there's different kinds of sugar. Like when one person says sugar, they can be referring to a totally different chemical compound than someone else. So it's kind of like you're saying that when someone says salt, they've manufactured salt to the point where we can be talking about totally different chemical compounds that have different reactions in our bodies.
Absolutely. And this is exactly what you're saying. That's exactly what they have done with God as well, too. Is that one person says God, and people think that they're talking about the same thing. One person says salt. Everybody thinks that it's a universal salt or universal sugar, but it's not. And this is the deception of language and how we become programmed. And, of course, we know the etymology, spells, and cast, and program, and all this other stuff. It goes deep, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of you who are watching this, I'm sure you're pretty much astute and familiar with what is going on in that realm of things. Yeah. So, I mean, look, right now, this is big, and I believe it's political. because I have friends in Europe and other countries that baby formula. Oh, there's a scarce in baby formula. Baby formula. What are we gonna do? If you were to look at the ingredients of baby formula and look at what's in that they literally have high fructose corn syrup. If you were to look at
Insane.
if you were to look at baby food and look at the fact that it has what is it called? Sodium man, what's the name? Citric acid. It has citric acid in it. And some of them do have high fructose corn syrup as well too. If you were to look at baby water that's in the pink bottle, the gallon bottle that's sold in Walmart that has fluoride in it, and they tell you to mix that with your baby formula, this is not a strong foundation to build a healthy body for a God being. Think about the stories of the 3 little pigs. I'm going to build mines with straw. I'm going to build mines with wood. I'm going to build mines with brick. You want to build your temple with something that has life force in it, something that can hold up to the test of time. And if you're building it based on these chemical projects that corporations have created just to get a profit, and they don't care about who they poison in order to get it, and they're
Get them, Jonathan.
This a rude awakening that's happening.
Yeah,
a rude awakening that's happening. So, it's really sad. I worked at this one corporation, and I just make this really quick. I worked at this one corporation, and there was a little girl, and her name was Gabriella, and she was so beautiful, and her mom would come all of the time to eat. And me being the big chef of the place, I would show her around. This girl had cancer, and the only thing that she could eat, that she wanted to eat, was pasta with butter and Parmesan cheese on it. And I remember that she gave me a bracelet, and I still have it, and it says Gabriella. And a couple of weeks later, she passed away. And a lot of the people within the establishment, they went to her funeral. They let out 100 doves flying everywhere. There was a chorus of children singing such beautiful angelic voices, and it really touched my heart. And then about I want to say a year later, I had a daughter, and when I was driving, and I'm trying to figure out what is going to be the name of my daughter, and it was tough times for me. That's a different part of my life that I'll be getting to later and some other time. But the name came into my head. My name is Gabriella, and I forgot that I knew this little girl named Gabriella who passed away. And then I looked up the definition of Gabriella, and it means that God is my strength. And I was like, wow, this is a powerful name. And the little girl, the cancer that she had, I believe, and this is just my personal belief, that it was tied directly to the foods. It was tied directly to the system of the realm that we live in.
Right.
And there's so many people who are passing away, ladies and gentlemen, of older ages, of younger ages. We had Chad Bonswick from, I hope I said his name right, from Black Panther. He passed
Chadwick
away.
Boseman,
thank you. He passed away, at a young age before completing, in my opinion, what he needed to complete. DMX passed away at 50. Again, Kevin Samuel. There's so many people who pass away at such a premature age because of their inability to sustain themselves. When it comes to life, and I'll finish off with this, when it comes to life, the first law of life is self-preservation. So what that means is that to preserve oneself. Any type of life form, regardless of if it's a single cell organism or something that's more complex, like a bear, a honey bear, a polar bear, a black bear, a grizzly bear, whatever, is to preserve their life force and to preserve their life. And they would do this by running away, by disguising themselves, like camouflaging, by fighting, which many do and many don't. And they have many methods about how they go about that, but they want to preserve their life. And when we eat foods that directly go against our own life and that literally goes against life in reality, we have to be out of our minds. We have to be out of our minds.
Literally.
And we really need. And then we talk about pro-life, and we talk about abortion, and we talk about all these other stupid political things that really have no merit because we aren't really looking at ourselves first. So I'm going to pass it to you, and I just want to say thank you for letting me get that out.
Yeah, we're about to be right back because it's only going to go deeper with 4 more letters, bro, because law is a whole thing. It's nefarious. Yeah.